It's hopeless. No matter how many remakes I boot, they keep making more.
Are movie studios not getting my death threats?
Mom, I told you, the liquor stores are closed. Ugh! Oh, no fair.
All of these shitty remakes, is there a single gem? They did it right already. Kill the candle to them. Which any of we watching with personality. One thing's for sure, good people, we got some movies to see. We got boots to read, stop ready to stop that shit. We got boots to read, stop ready to stop that shit.
Hello, we're Andy, the Maniacal Cinephile, and welcome to Boots to Reboots. Today's movie, Back from the Grave, is the 2019 remake of Pet Sematary.
Andy, why do you hate me?
What? I don't hate you, little buddy. Why would you say that?
You know I hate it when pets die in scary movies, so what do? You pick a movie called Pet Sematary.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Just remember, it's not real.
If you want, afterwards we can watch some kids' movies. I'll even handle the selection.
This new version was directed by Kevin Kölsch and Dennis Widmyer, best known for Starry Eyes and the Scream TV series. It is the second adaptation of the 1983 Stephen King novel after the original 1989 film directed by Mary Lambert. Stephen King wrote the book after his daughter's cat, Smucky, was killed by a truck and he had to bury it. He wondered what would happen if the family cat could come back to life. And then after his son was also almost hit by a car, he wondered, what if it were a child? Stephen King was very involved with the original film, and it was good enough to get a sequel in 1992 starring Edward Furlong and Krusty Krab. Paramount Pictures started developing the remake in 2010 with a script by Matt Greenberg, best known for Reign of Fire and another King adaptation, 1408. Greenberg later ended up with only story credit because 7 years later, in 2017, Paramount officially greenlit the movie with an updated screenplay by Jeff Buhler, best known for The Midnight Meat Train, The Prodigy, plus newer versions of Jacob's Ladder and The Grudge. Paramount reportedly decided to rush a remake when they received a termination notice from Stephen King for the rights to his book. So let's cross this remake off the list and see if it deserves the boot. Jason Clarke plays Lewis Creed, a doctor from Boston, Chicago in the book, who moves to the small town of Ludlow, Maine.
We've never been to Maine, but maybe we should. Stephen King always makes it sound so unpleasant.
I want to be the first inside.
I'm gonna be the first to wreck the toilet!
With Lewis is his wife, Rachel, their 2 kids, Ellie and Gage, and their cat, Church. Church, played by 7 blue British short-haired cats in the original, is now portrayed by 5 brown tabby Norwegian forest cats.
He's named after Britain's Prime Minister, Winston Churchill.
Oh, I know who Winston Churchill is.
Speaking of Churchill, John Lithgow also plays the elderly neighbor, Judd Crandall, who warns them of the dangers of the road.
Where you go, my friend? Not in that road.
Gage!
You want to watch out for that road. That's one mean road, all right.
Probably why they got it so cheap.
You see a hazard, I see a plentiful source of roadkill. Tasty, tasty roadkill.
I'd get him fixed, why, you. Fixed cat don't tend to wander.
Oh, you have a cat. Get rid of its balls! Exploring the woods, Ellie stumbles across a bunch of masked children, taking a dead dog to the Pet Sematary. Or maybe it's a sacrifice to the gods of furry conventions.
What's it say, Mommy?
It says Pet Sematary, honey. It's misspelled, but that's what it says.
And that's why we lost that spelling bee. Thanks a lot, Stephen King.
This provokes an argument between Lewis and Rachel about death and the afterlife. Rachel disapproves of discussing death with the children.
Church and Mommy and me, we're gonna be around a long, long time.
And Gage?
Well, honey, not if we follow the book. You see, Rachel was traumatized as a child by the death of her sister, Zelda.
Never get out of bed again! Never get out of bed again!
Zelda suffered from spinal meningitis, and in the remake, when Rachel tried feeding her, Zelda died by falling down a dumbwaiter. Lewis blames Rachel's parents for her trauma, who left her all alone with her ill sister when she died.
In the first movie, Zelda scared the heck out of me.
Her spine may be shaped like an S, but I like a girl with curves.
You do know the original Zelda was played by a dude, right?
What? I haven't been tricked like this since Sleepaway Camp.
If Zelda's really a boy, then I'll call him Link.
At the university hospital, Lewis is traumatized after failing to save the life of Victor Pascow, a student who was hit by a vehicle.
Wow, Stephen King predicted his own accident.
He's really dedicated to playing hooky.
The barrier was not meant to be broken.
Every father talking to his virgin daughter's prom date. The barrier's not meant to be broken! Lewis later has a dream in which Victor leads him to the cemetery and warns him by using a jump scare from Carrie.
The ground is sour!
Oh, you shouldn't be eating the dirt.
He turned already! Kill it with fire!
I love you, Daddy.
Okay. Lewis awakens only to find his bed and feet covered with mud for real.
We have confusing nightmares like that often.
Oh my god! Someone shit my bed! On Halloween, Church is killed by a truck, and Judd Crandall, who has a soft spot for Ellie, has an idea.
We should do this tonight. Sure, yeah.
I was talking about foot rubs. Hearing voices, Judd takes Lewis past the Pet Sematary to an old burial ground used by the Micmac tribe to bury Church.
What is this place?
Ludlow, Maine's second most popular tourist attraction. There's a shuttle every hour.
What exactly are we doing here tonight, Judd?
We're burying your daughter's cat.
That's all.
What else do you want to do? The next day, Lewis is stunned when Church returns from the dead and is super pissy. He keeps knocking things off tables, refuses to use his litter box,
And interrupts Hanky Panky.
If only they had a laser pointer.
However, after Church attacks Ellie and Gage, Lewis attempts to euthanize him, but instead sets him free.
Wait! There's nobody out here to see my butthole!
Well, then how do you explain it?
I don't. Nobody can.
You're gonna have to do better than that, Judd.
Okay, I'll pull up my PowerPoint. Judd reveals to Lewis that the burial ground brings things back from the dead thanks to a mythical creature.
And Judd knows his mythical creatures.
Sit!
In the remake, they actually discussed the Wendigo. It haunted the natives, drove them away, and cursed the land. In the original, the creature is briefly alluded to, only twice.
What's that? Judd!
Judd ends by giving Lewis some advice.
Sometimes dead is better.
Wait, better? Better? Sorry, John, it's pronounced betta.
Sometimes dead is better.
Am I the only one who thinks dead is always better?
One thing I wish they included was Judd's wife. In the book, she has a heart attack, and Lewis saves her. That is why Judd returns the favor by unwisely saving their cat. Without this motivation in the movies, Judd comes off as kinda foolish.
Done it, you stupid old man. Now you got to undo it.
The police might have made Gage die, because I introduced you to the power. I may have murdered your son, Louis.
Hell, in the remake, Judd kinda feels like a villain.
What is this place?
Pet Sematary. And you read the sign? You in the habit of going through other people's things?
However, it's suggested in the book that the cursed land influences people.
Trust me, that won't hold up in court.
During Ellie's birthday party, she spots Church on the road, rushes to him, and is fatally ran over. Thanks to Sheena. This is where the remake becomes divisive by taking a huge swerve.
Unlike that truck.
In the novel and original movie, it is little Gage who is sadly killed.
It's so awful.
Yeah, that wreck interrupted a good Ramones song.
The family is devastated, despite never having to attend another dance recital. Rachel and Gage leave to spend a few days with their parents, leaving Lewis alone with an idea. In the novel and original, this is where Judd tries to dissuade Lewis by telling him the story of Timmy Baterman, the last person who was resurrected. Timmy Baterman was killed during World War II and buried up there by his father. Only Timmy returned evil, terrorizing people with secrets he had no earthly way of knowing.
Timmy called out everyone who peed in the pool.
In the end, the loving father and undead soldier perished together in their burning house. Judd states that whatever came back wasn't Timmy, but a demon. Timmy the Demon. However, in the remake, they cut all of this out. The only mention is a brief headline about a Vietnam vet and a bowl. Wait, somebody buried a bowl up there? I want to see that movie! Pascal's spirit tries to warn Lewis and even Gage.
Hey kid, just ignore my brains falling out. Oh, stop crying. Listen, go home and you're dead. There, I saved him.
Everyone you love around you's dying!
Red Rum! Pascal! Pascal! Because Lewis and his kids have these terrifying nightmares and premonitions, it's implied in the book and movies that they have The Shining. Instead of listening, Lewis's grief is too much. He roofies Judd and then digs up his daughter. Oh shit, wrong grave! This is like the third one!
Digging up graves is hard work. Isn't that right, Mother? Mother? I think she's passed out drunk again.
Lewis finally takes her to the burial ground as the Wendigo looks on. Dude likes to watch?
Yay, I'm so full of life for now!
As expected, Ellie returns from the dead and is a monster.
I can hear the woods. Two squirrels are really going at it.
Judd wakes up, wicked hungover with a sore bum, and spots Ellie in the house. He heads home to retrieve his revolver because he must have seen what happened to Fred Gwynn. However, distracted by Church, Judd is jumped by Ellie.
Poor Judd can no longer do the stand. He'll never be able to stand by me or even carry his weight. He'll never be able to walk a green mile. Okay, I'll stop, sorry.
Looks like somebody started Purge Night early. To add insult to injury, Ellie turns into Judd's wife Norma before stabbing him.
Did you miss me, Judson?
That's not my Norma!
He can tell because he made Norma get breast implants.
It's creepy, but I would have felt more if his wife were included anywhere else in the movie.
Will you come over and play with me? First I played with Dad, and I played with Mommy. Now I want to play with you.
Okay, how about a game of Who Can Reach the Cabinet? After getting stuck in dairy traffic, Rachel and Gage return home and encounter the undead Ellie.
Hug your daughter, Rachel.
Rachel flees upstairs, horrified that her husband still can't properly comb their daughter's hair. While Lewis discovers Judd's body, Ellie attacks Rachel, enraged at being rejected by her mother.
And we know a little something about mother rejection.
Ma, it's me, your son. Why won't you look at me? I love you. I love you. What? Did you say it back?
Oh boy, that's hard to watch.
Rushing home, Lewis manages to save Gage and lock him in the car.
Daddy needs you to stay in the car, okay? Don't open the door for anyone. Listen to me, Gage, not even for Ellie.
And no drinking and driving. After being stabbed by Ellie, Rachel begs her husband not to be buried in a pet cemetery. Ellie knocks out Lewis and comically drags her mom to the cemetery. Lewis returns, and the two of them get into a boneyard match. As Lewis prepares to decapitate Ellie, his reanimated wife impales him, and Lewis is then buried as well. I haven't seen this many people get buried since John Cena was full-time. The entire undead family burn down Judd's house, approach a defenseless Gage in the car, and then we cut to black.
Poor Gage would have been a goner no matter what, whether it be a truck, his zombie family, or the rolled up windows.
Yeah, looks like Gage will be reanimated next.
One big unhappy family.
In the alternate scripted ending, Lewis spares Ellie, and together they bury Rachel, promising that they'll be a family forever. After collecting Gage, a distraught Lewis is reunited with Ellie, Church, and his resurrected wife. Darling. A portrait of a new type of dysfunctional family.
Well, they did move to spend more time together.
I slightly like this ending more. Instead of evil outright winning, Lewis is damaged and stuck living in hell with his choices. It's creepy, dark, and a little more faithful. In the novel and original, Lewis tricks and kills Church and Gage with morphine.
No fair. No fair, no fair.
Kid, life isn't fair. But you won't live to see that.
I also like that the painting implies that Gage is actually possessed by his vengeful Aunt Zelda. Oh my god, my son is alive! And he be pimpin'! Lewis takes Rachel's corpse to the burial ground, thinking that if he buries the body quicker than Church or Gage, there will be a better result.
He's using the 5-second rule.
Later, Lewis sits alone, playing solitaire, and Rachel's reanimated corpse whispers,
Darling.
You can tell she's ready by how wet she is. Oh, God.
Pet Sematary is the idea which scared Stephen King the most. Death is scary, and losing a loved one is devastating. This is a story that's really about coping with death, and how grief can spiral out of control. It may hurt now, and even a little after it heals, but give it some time.
See, Dad? You'll get over it.
Sadly, the remake glosses over this for the usual horror tropes and jump scares. I'm not entirely against the twist. Going in a new direction and doing the opposite of what the audience expects could have worked. An 8-year-old girl is more intimidating because she can say and do things a 2-year-old cannot. However, she briefly discusses her death only once.
It's okay now. Are you back?
Back from where?
From a place more sour than a warhead.
They don't push the twist far enough. They probably changed it to the girl because the female reboot was the latest remake fad.
In 2019, they probably didn't have the balls to kill a baby. God, I miss the 80s.
The death of any child is heartbreaking, but I think it's more tragic to lose a toddler, get him back, and then have to kill him. Meanwhile, in the remake, the only person who stays dead and gone is Judd. Speaking of Judd, who was the better neighbor? In the original, Fred Gwynne was the first and only choice for Judd Crandall. He even dyed his hair white for the role. Plus, I'm a huge fan of Fred Gwynne and the Munsters.
That's where I buried my dog Spot.
Oh, hi, Spot. Well done, please.
I was pleasantly surprised when John Lithgow was cast. I think he's a talented actor. But his Judd pales in comparison to the original. His performance and those iconic lines just don't pack the same punch.
Sometimes Fred is better.
It's interesting that Judd and Pascow act like the devil and angel on Lewis's shoulders. You think you should be listening to the kind old man, but really, you should be listening to the creepy ghost. Whenever a book is adapted again, you hope it would stick closer to the source material. However, the original is a lot more faithful, probably thanks to Stephen King. He adapted the screenplay himself, was on set often, and even has a cameo.
I wonder if I can hire him for some funerals that I got lined up.
For who? The remake is a huge departure and left out a lot of scenes from the book. The only noteworthy thing about it is the sibling swap, which isn't enough. But that isn't what buries the remake. Ultimately, after receiving that termination notice, Paramount rushed a bland, forgettable remake to cash in on renewed interest in King adaptations. But hey, they made their money back, so I'm sure they're happy. One positive is that they try to develop Zelda a little more. Not that she's scarier, but other than that, the remake doesn't beat the original adaptation in any category. So, was it a good idea bringing Pet Sematary back to life? No. If anything, they should have left it for dead on the side of the road. Therefore, Pet Sematary is getting the boot. Sometimes, the remake is better, but in this case, I should have listened to Zelda and never got out of bed. This has been Andy, the Maniacal Cinephile.
Thanks for liking and subscribing.
We'll see you next time.